At the beginning of the story, we see two buses traveling down the road. Inside, there are many female students on their way to class. Among them is a girl named Mitsuko, who is very pretty and sweet. She was writing something in her notebook when her friends began teasing her. "Do you always just write? Don't you ever do anything else? What's the point of taking notes like that? Look, everyone else is having fun. Why don't you?" Saying this, one of her friends snatched away her notebook. At that moment, her pen fell to the floor. When Mitsuko bent down to pick it up, suddenly something terrifying shot past at an incredible speed, slicing straight through both buses. In an instant, all the girls inside were cut into two pieces. When Mitsuko lifted her head and saw the horrifying scene in front of her, she was completely stunned. What just happened? She thought, because she had bent down to pick up her pen. She was the only one who survived. Shaking with fear, she quickly jumped off the bus and started running. That's when we learn the terrifying truth. The thing that had sliced everything wasn't any weapon at all. It was the wind itself, a gust of wind that shredded people into pieces. Now that same deadly wind began chasing Mitsuko. Terrified, she screamed and ran as fast as she could. As Mitsuko kept running, she suddenly saw 4 more girls ahead of her. She screamed, "Duck down! Duck down!" But it was already too late. That terrifying wind slashed right through them, cutting their bodies in half. Somehow, she managed to save one of them at the very last second. Just then, a few girls rode past on bicycles. Mitsuko tried desperately to warn and protect them too, but the wind struck again, just as before, tearing them all into pieces. And in the chaos, the very girl she had just saved was also killed. It turned out that the girl was actually Mitsuko's best friend. But Mitsuko asked her, "Are you really my best friend? Because I don't even understand what's happening to me anymore." She was deeply shaken. At this point, we also learn that she and her best friend truly loved each other. Suddenly, a violent wind began to blow, and in fear, they rushed inside the building. Her best friend, however, couldn't understand what was going on around them. She started asking questions. "Why are you trembling so much? Why are you so afraid? What really happened to you? Tell me." Mitsuko explained everything, how a storm-like wind suddenly came and swept through, cutting down all the students at her school. Hearing this, her friend pulled her close to the window, stretched her hand outside and said, "Look, it's just the wind, nothing more." That gave Mitsuko a little comfort, and she began to wonder if perhaps this was all just a dream. Later, her best friend brought along 2 other friends and suggested they skip class. When the 4 of them tried to leave, their teacher suddenly appeared and caught them, but they quickly ran away. Running together, they came upon a place where the number 100,000 was written. There, Mitsuko's best friend told the others about her dream. One of the girls said, "Maybe it's actually real." She explained, "It's like there's a mirror world where the opposite of our world happens. For example, if I throw a stone into a pond here and say, 'Look, I threw a stone,' maybe in that other world, I didn't throw it at all." Suddenly, a crocodile burst out of that very pond and swallowed one of the girls whole. The girl then said, "See, I told you, what happens in this world doesn't happen in the other one, and what happens in that world can't happen here." So that girl was eaten by a crocodile in that world, but here, we're safe. Afterward, they found a bed. All 4 of them slowly approached it. The sight was unbearable. When suddenly we see 2 girls are standing at a distance, staring at them. One of those girls was a bride, because the 2 of them had married each other. Then one of Mitsuko's friends said, "We have to do something that would be impossible in that other world, because our fate has already been written, but maybe we can change it." After that, all the girls returned to their school and went back to class for the next lecture. At that moment, Mitsuko noticed a tag, a pillow tag or label, lying in front of her. As soon as she bent down to pick it up, her teacher suddenly opened fire on the entire class with a gun. And when she raised her head, after picking up the tag, she saw that every single girl in the class had been killed. Once again, she was the only one who survived, just like before, in her earlier dream. Then the teacher walked up to her and said, "How dare you try to stop this class? Do you even have a mind of your own?" Just then, 2 other girls rushed in and tried to help her escape, but another teacher appeared and killed both of them. In this way, only a few students managed to survive. Then they all tried to run outside, but as soon as they did, all of the school's teachers began firing at them. Amid the chaos, when the girls finally made it outside, the wind suddenly tore through them again, shredding them apart. And once more, Mitsuko was left completely alone. She ran in panic through the crowd until she reached a police station. After telling the police everything, one of the female officers looked at her and said, "But you're not wearing the school festival dress." When the officer placed a mirror in front of her, Mitsuko saw that she had completely changed. People no longer called her by her own name, but by another one. That's when we learned that she was about to be married. Later, the police officer escorted her to the wedding. People all around congratulated her. When they brought her into the church, she saw that her best friend was there too. Mitsuko looked at her and asked, "What is happening to me? What is all this?" Her friend told her, "Stay quiet now. We're still under someone's control. Just do exactly as I say." After that, her friend dressed her in a wedding gown and told her to walk toward the ceremony. As she began moving forward to start her wedding, all the girls around her started mocking and ridiculing her. Seeing this, her best friend snapped and began killing them one by one. When Mitsuko finally approached the altar, instead of a groom, she saw a coffin. When the coffin was opened, a massive pig came out. Terrified, she grabbed a broken bottle and attacked it. Then she and her best friend ran out of the church together. At the gate, 2 other girls tried to block their path, but her best friend killed them too, and the 2 escaped. By then, Mitsuko was running off in another direction, shaken, feeling like something terribly wrong was happening to her. As she moved forward, she came across another mirror. When she looked into it, she saw herself once again in a completely altered form. Later, she arrived at Mitsuko's place. At that time, a race was taking place there. Suddenly, some girls came up to her and said, "You're such a good racer. Why are you just standing there? Why aren't you running?" When she finally started running, Mitsuko felt an overwhelming surge of power inside her. She pushed herself to the limit, determined to win the race. While running, she saw the faces of her dead classmates, the very ones who had been killed at school earlier. Then, suddenly, her best friend appeared again. Both of them noticed the same pig and the same women from the church coming after them. As they kept running, Mitsuko shouted to some of the other girls, "Leave this world behind!" Soon, she reached a desolate, dark place. There she found several students wearing uniforms. They said to her, "We're all dead, and we're going to kill you too." Just then, her best friend showed up, killed the girl who was threatening Mitsuko, and pulled her away. Her best friend begged her to shout her own name out loud, and when Mitsuko did, she suddenly regained her true form. Then, her best friend showed her a cord sticking out from her own body and pleaded, "Please, pull this cord out, so I can leave this world." Mitsuko was terrified. She thought that if she pulled it, her best friend might actually die. And because she loved her best friend so much, at first she refused. But when her best friend insisted, Mitsuko finally pulled the cord. Her best friend's body split into 2. At that moment, Mitsuko saw a gate in front of her. She passed through it and suddenly found herself back in the human world. Posters of her were plastered everywhere. A few boys were looking at those posters. One of them came up and said, "You're in the future." Hearing this left her shaken. After a while, she regained her senses and kept moving forward. Then she saw an old man playing a video game. Inside the game was the very character who had been created just like her. When he noticed her, the old man said, "I created this game. I control everything. You actually died a long time ago, but I recreated you." Mitsuko was horrified. She realized this world was nothing more than a game, but she also began to believe that maybe she could still return to the real world. Just then, someone called out to her. The old man told her she had to complete the final level. As Mitsuko advanced, she remembered her best friend's word, "If you do something here that's impossible in the other world, you'll break free from this game." With that in mind, Mitsuko grabbed the old man by the throat and shouted, "End the game!" Then she took his staff and plunged it into her own stomach. She died instantly. The old man had never expected that she would be capable of doing such a thing. Her fate changed completely. In the game world, she had died, but in the real world, she was still alive. Later, we see that other characters also chose death in their own ways, freeing themselves so they no longer had to be part of the game. In the final scene, Mitsuko is lying in a snowy landscape, and at last, she awakens in her real world.